Hi, my name is Arianna Davalos, and today I'll be presenting on the lack of arts funding in K through 12 education. To begin with, I would like to start on what the problem is. In recent years, many schools across the United States have cut back on funding for arts programs. Policymakers in the K through 12 education system have budget constraints and prioritize standardized testing, which has led to limited funding in arts education. Students have less access to opportunities in the arts. The arts help students develop their creativity, self-expression, and critical thinking. On a macro level, which is a more greater society level, this has had an impact on schools nationwide. After 2008, the Great Recession, schools were greatly impacted at a national level by limited budgets, in which 95% of student populations were affected. And in later years, in 2015, schools in major cities, which are hugely populated like Chicago, were still experiencing impact of budget cuts by excluding arts programs, according to ABIC. From a sociologist's perspective, I chose symbolic interactionism. Symbolic interaction theory is a framework that focuses on meanings attached to human interaction. From a symbolic interactionist perspective, the lack of funding in arts programs can be seen as a symbolic representation of the devaluation of arts in society. Schools are sending the message to students that arts should not be invested in by removing art programs and reducing opportunities for students to creatively express themselves. Students can lose self-esteem and motivation as consequences of being denied the opportunities to develop these artistic talents. Music education, for example, has many documented benefits in terms of discipline, time management, relaxation, and coping with difficulties. By removing arts education, students are losing these developmental skills. Schools have been emphasizing math, reading, and writing. This has caused a shift in how much of the school day is left for arts education. Arts are symbolically viewed as unimportant in today's society, according to Mulchaney. What is the proposed solution? So to go back a few years, in 2002, there was a huge issue in education regarding the achievement gap and standardized testing. In 2002, Bush and his administration passed a No Child Left Behind. Education reformers focused on core classes in order to better standardize testing results and close the achievement gap from students who were at risk, according to Chappell. The students at risk were based on ethnicity, school location, and gender. Since schools focused on teaching core classes, there were budget cuts made on the arts programs, according to Major. During Obama's presidency, the Senate passed Every Student Succeeds Act. This was in response to the previous policy. So in 2015, this new law decreased the federal mandates, which is a great thing because now states had more authority and flexibility in testing and school performance evaluations. They had more flexibility in choosing what their funding was going towards in arts. Obama pushed for arts being included as part of a well-rounded education. So what were the solution strengths? So through the Every Student Succeeds Act, there are new opportunities for arts education. There is the Assistance for Arts Education grant programs, which ensures that arts education is included in students' well-rounded education. The arts are going to continue to be eligible for Title I funds, which is the largest federal funding source to local schools, according to ABIC. Now, STEM programs, which heavily focus on math and science in the curriculum, are integrating arts into their programs. So this field is being recognized from STEM to STEAM now, which incorporates the arts. What are the solutions weaknesses? Every Student Succeeds Act does not eliminate standardized testing. This means that schools are still required to annually test students through eighth grade and once in high school. Therefore, the curriculum in schools are still emphasizing math and reading. The consequences of the ESSA policy are inequality in educational standards, specifically school districts who are identified as high poverty and low achieving schools. The ESSA policy fails to offer more financial resources to schools with low income students. These students are limited in having qualified teacher support in the academic setting, and they have a limited arts program in their school. So, the conclusion, my final thoughts. A lack of arts funding in K through 12 education has negative consequences for students. The lack of funding diminishes creative expression and it impedes students from socially developing skills such as confidence and motivation. The government needs to lower their concern on closing the achievement gap by lessening their enforced, strict, standardized testing policies. Schools are focusing too much on their students' performance evaluations that it limits their ability to use financial resources for arts education. One way the community could support students in arts education is to contribute in funding school music, dance, and arts programs. This could be as simple as attending their child's orchestra concert. If the community brings more awareness to the lack of funding, it could call more attention to local communities to help support their students' arts programs. The benefit of keeping arts programs is that it will promote student success and achievement. And here's my references. Thank you very much. This concludes my presentation.